Well, hello, this is Rosa, RCG Creations. How you doing? Camera's a little bit crooked because I'm using my cell phone with my new tripod. So I'm still learning the tweaks on how to use it. So anyway, let's bring it down to what we're making tonight. Let me put that back down so you can see what's going on. Let's move that over. Oh, you can't see anything. I gotta angle the camera, and then after this, I won't have to worry about angling it again. There we go. I'm working in the kitchen. I'm not sitting down today. Hopefully I'm not in too much pain, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. Okay, good. You're in view. Okay, what we're doing is we're making pork chops in tomato sauce. Now, I've got to, let's move this over so you can see, because I got the angle, so I'm on the phone, so I can't tell if you can see. Okay, so this is an angle. Okay, great. Yeah, I've got 2 cubes of butter and basil. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my frying pan. I'm going to saute that in a minute. I got us some frozen corn from my homegrown corn from my garden. Frozen onions. My wax beans that I got from my garden. And these are some I just harvested yesterday. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to trim off the excess fat off the chops. I don't want any excess fat. I don't want to bite into any excess fat. And that's just me. You do you. Because this is going to be sauteing in that tomato sauce. I don't want any extra fat. This is just me. I hate biting into fat. Because that just ruins it for the rest of the meal. Once I've had it, I've had it. Okay. Let's just trim this other part. And we're going to trim this other part. Let's trim that little part right there. And as you can see, it's already kind of thin. But I'm still going to, put this in the wrong spot. This is my trash spot. I'm still going to pound it with a meat tenderizer just to make sure they're not hard. I'm not going to pound it a whole lot, just a little bit. And for some of you new people who don't know too much about cooking, you'll be able to see how you can tenderize a piece of meat. Any meat, really. Okay, that one's got too much fat for my taste right there. That's why they're going to be little pieces. Okay, that's good for me. Okay. Let's trim that off. And then let's trim this part. Okay. Okay, one. Whoop, I got 2 more. Woo. Oh, good. Because they're thin, so it's not going to take, you're going to need probably 2 of them to fill up on. And of course, this is going to be enough for our dinner tonight and for lunches for tomorrow. Now, I've never made this particular type of dinner meal. Okay. I don't like that piece of fat right there. The rest of that's okay for me. Oops. Let's get this little baby. This little piece here. That's still good. That's still one good bite there. Once I cut off that fat. Sadly, because of the prices, we're having, I don't know if it's the grocery stores or what, but they're selling tons of meat but with a lot of fat in it. I just don't know if that's their overhead they need to keep up with, or that's just the new way of what we're going to start shopping now. I don't know. I'm really getting seriously into thinking about purchasing my own stock of beef from a farmer, a local farmer. There's a couple of them here near me. The rest of them are a good 4 to 6 hours away, which it's a little bit of a distance. We might do that next year and travel that far. I don't know if you want to travel that far. But we'll be doing a year's worth of meat. And since we have a deep freezer, and it's just me and hubby, we'll be able to do that. But, you know, that's typically anywhere from at least $500 a pop. And I think that's just for half a cow. I could be wrong. And, of course, it depends on your area where you're at, what your local prices are, and what type of cuts of meat you're going to get, that you're going to order and pay for. But I have been shopping it around. The reason I haven't done it is because that's required all at one whack, and that's just an awful lot by personal budget. Okay, so that's done. This is going to go in the garbage. Wash my hands. Okay. Now, get that. That's just water from the frozen chops. Here's our wax beans. They're all going to be cooked together, so I don't care about cross-contamination because that part doesn't bother. Now, I'm going to say this because Frugal Rosa, as my regular subscribers know, I'm just going to wash and rinse. I have a little dispenser. You stick it in there and it dries it. Because all I did was I just put fresh beans in there. So, I'm going to wash and rinse that. But I am going to cut the ends of it because I don't want to be eating on those. And I'm just trimming the ends is all I'm doing. I don't want to bite into those. So these are just plain wax beans. And I'm just going to saute them with a little bit of butter, not a lot. Just plain butter, no herb butter, nothing. I do have 3 different types of herb butters. I'll put a link in there of that video that I showed you on how to make your own frozen herb cubes, which are a real time saver, especially because a lot of recipes require, that one's kind of skimpy, require you to saute in butter or margarine, whichever one, or oil. And you can either saute it in oil, olive oil, different oils, or butter. And I think, I'm sorry, I correct myself, those frozen pucks are olive oil and basil, not butter. It was olive oil. I personally like to freeze and process. This is just me. You do your own research, you do your own homework, how you want to do it. I like to process with olive oil. I think the flavor is a little bit better than butter. But that's just me. You do you. It's your kitchen, your way. Oh, I don't like that one. So, we're going to have a sensible meal with a rate reduction. This is not going to be fried. It's just going to be sauteed, the vegetables and the meat. Because you got to cook your meat. And I will do a pop-up of all the ingredients, but I'll walk you through the step-by-step and read the directions as I'm going along, like I typically always do on these recipes. Okay, so that's done. Make sure you start it with a clean workstation. Okay, so, oh, I forgot to get my, let's hammer these babies in. There's a ridgy side and then there's a smooth side. You can use either one when you're pounding on it to tenderize it. Totally up to you. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to go ahead and save time. I'm going to layer 2 or 3 on here. I can do that. And let's tenderize a whole bunch at one time. If your meat's really, really inexpensive, you may need to tenderize it several times because that makes it not so tough after you've cooked it. Cooked it or baked it, however you want to cook it. Whatever your recipe calls for. If you're feeling frustrated and you're upset with somebody, bam, 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 pretend that's them you're pounding. Of course not. That's not nice. But I'm just saying, it's like, so-and-so made me mad today. Bam, bam, bam. Not very neighborly, not very Christian. But sometimes it's nice to have the frustrations, and then 2 seconds later, you feel so much better. Ask me how I know. See, it doesn't take very much. And y'all know I have weak hands, so I have trouble. But it doesn't take much. And these chops are really thin to begin with. I bought these on purpose this thin because I knew I'd be making some kind of a dish with it. And I wanted them to be thin on purpose. Okay, so that's done. Washing it again. Okay, so I'm going to move you on over to the camera. Let's move you over. Sorry for that. Okay, great. You can see. Let's turn the burner off. Whoops. Burner's down here. Front. So this is 2 cubes of olive oil and basil. My fresh from my garden. Put me some onions in there. Not going to put too many. I don't care for onions too much, but we got to have a little bit for flavor. And while that's working, I'm going to read you the recipe. It's called pork chops and tomato sauce. It's you use 1/2 small onion, thinly sliced. Because I pre-process all my onions ahead of time, I just grab whatever's in the freezer, whatever I have. Okay, because I do the diced, the sliced, the minced. I believe that's all that I do. Those 3. And onions. And I put them in my little Ziploc baggie, my little snack bags, because that's just enough for me and hubby. Then I put all of them in a quart and or a gallon, depending on how much I made, of freezer bag. That way they stay freezer protected for up to 6 to 7 months. You could actually leave them in your freezer for up to a year, but I personally wouldn't want to do that because of freezer burn. So it's better to use it as soon as, at least within the first 6 months. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of butter. I'm not going to do the butter because I've already got the olive oil in there. 4 bone-in pork loin chops, 6 ounces trimmed. See, and the recipe does call for you to trim the excess fat. 1 can of tomato sauce. And we're going to be using my homemade veggie tomato sauce that I can myself. 1/4 cup of dry white wine. We don't have white wine, so we're going to be using chicken broth. And this is my own processed chicken broth that I did myself. And 1 teaspoon of dried oregano. This is from my garden. I harvested, dehydrated, and chopped it up. And this is Cuban oregano, which is fantastic. And 1/8 teaspoon of pepper, which is right there. So in a large nonstick skillet, you want to saute your onions and your garlic and butter until tender. Then you're going to add your pork chops and you brown on both sides. So where's my spoon? I like to use this kind of spoon because it's a perfect size for me. And these were frozen onions, like I just said, but that's okay. I'm just going to wait for them to get a little little bit more translucent. I'm going to leave these pieces big, that way I can take them out before I serve Hubby's plate. So he doesn't, because he doesn't care. I love all these. I will eat these onions. He won't. So I'll take them off his plate before I serve his plate. Okay, that looks good. Now let's get the chops. Lay them evenly down. I'm trying to get my big ones in there first. But if I don't have room, I'll make room for the little small pieces. Okay. When I like to saute, I just like to put the meat down. I'm just moving this over. I want to make room for another big piece of meat. Okay, that looks good. I think I have another big piece of meat right here. Yep. There we go. I have just enough room for those. I almost have enough room for these little small pieces. Because you notice I'm not moving everything else around. I'm just moving around the onion part. That way I can cook all this at one sitting, and once the entire meal will be made ready to roll it, you can eat all at one time instead of having to go in layers. Okay. Gonna let this simmer. Then we're gonna flip it once it's a little bit brown, because it says I'm just brown on both sides. Then we have the stuff. So we'll bring it back when we come to that next phase. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and get my pot rolling for my wax beans and my corn. So we'll bring it back when we get ready to do the next phase. Way back, you can see where it's browned. And the recipe did not say to drain any of this. There really isn't much to drain. So I'm going to go ahead and pour my tomato sauce in. I'll turn down my heat just a tad. Oh. Let me grab a spatula. Sorry for the reach there. The chicken soup, not chicken soup, chicken broth. And it asks for how much oregano? 1 teaspoon oregano. I'm crushing it in between my fingers, because when you crush fresh herbs in between your fingers, it what you call it? It releases the spices in your herbs. So that's why I do it whole. Just the leaves. I just dehydrate the leaves only. They dry up to be this little, and then I crush them. Yeah, just a little bit more. Man, wish we had smell-o-vision. Do you smell it? It smells so good. Okay. Where's that spatula I had? Tossed it in the sink. So now I'm just going to toss everything around. Put the sauce in there, and it's going to simmer for 10 minutes. It's got to come to a rapid boil. Let me put the heat back up again. Come to a rapid boil. Once it comes to a rapid boil, then you turn it down and you simmer for 10 minutes. Then you're ready to eat. So this meal technically could be ready in about 20 minutes. But with the prepping your chops, cutting the fat and all that, and if you have to chop your herbs and your onions make time for that, but and see how even though these are thin chops, and I didn't use quote a 16-ounce can of tomato sauce because I have my own homemade tomato sauce, but I did do that 1 pint, which I believe is 2 cups, and I think 2 cups is close to 16 ounces. I'll double check it when I go to edit, and I'll do a pop-up letting you know how much 2 pints of sauce equals how many cups or how many ounces. And I'll do a pop-up on the video when I go to edit. I've got my grilled wax beans over there cooking, and my corn here, they're doing on a little slimmer with some butter in them, just a little pat of butter. Okay, it's boiling. Now, does it say cover? Let's put that over there. Did it say cover? Bring to a boil, oh yeah, cover and simmer for 10 minutes. So when you cover it, let's bring this temperature down to the simmer, which on mine is number 2. Double check my heat. Yep, that's a low simmer. It's all mixed up. I can put my pressure can jar opener lid. I love that little lid opener. So much easier than using a can opener. And I don't have any power to use a knife or spoon. Okay, let's take a look at these. I'm going to roast these corn just a little bit. You see how they get a little bit on the roasted side? Okay, yeah, you can see. I'm going to roast these just a little bit. I'm going to cook them a little bit more, let them all get roasted. I'm going to add a little bit of butter, not much. And then I'm going to turn it down so they cook. And with the lid on it, it keeps the moisture in, so you don't have to add additional water. But it does heat it all up. And look at that. See that one? It's got a little, whoops. Oh, come on. See that little roasted part? So we're going to have a little bit of roasted wax beans and corn that you do on your stovetop instead of having to use your oven. Okay, I can turn this fan off because now we're just simmering. And I'm going to do some dishes and we'll bring it back when we do the taste test because we're just about done. Okay, there's the thing. It wasn't going off. Okay, we're back. Here, I've uncovered the corn and the wax beans. And look at that. And man, I wish we had smell-o-vision. Smells so good. I still wonder how soft they are, though. Let's get a plate. Let's serve one of them. Let's get him some corn. Let's get some wax beans. Whoops. Let's turn this around. Sorry about that. I'm turning it around. Okay. Let's angle this up. I don't like this tripod that you have to angle so much up and down. But it is what it is. My next one is going to definitely be a lot more expensive. But I won't have to do all this back and forth stuff. Okay. So, let me go. Nope, one, sorry. Okay, here we go. We're going to be, it is what it is. I'm right here. And here's my pork chop, corn, and wax beans. Let's take a look, see what it tastes like. Well, I can cut it with my hand, which is very good because I have weak hands. But the biggest part of all is what's the flavor taste like? Ooh. It is, sorry, hold on. It is very tender. Definitely taste the tomato sauce. It's not overpowering because I didn't put a whole lot in it. The onion flavor is great. I really can't even taste the Cuban oregano. This is my basil that I use with my olive oil that I sauteed it in. I like it for flavor, but I don't like to eat on it. Now let's do some corn. My corn's a little on the tough side. It tastes okay, but it's on the tough side. Those wax beans are fantastic. And I think just sauteing them in a little butter was all it needed. I didn't have to add water. You could add water, you can boil them like we do regular beans, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to see what the natural flavor of the wax is. And then that's the shape of the actual bean. See that? There's the actual bean right there. Those are yummy. So anyway, this is my take of pork chops and tomato sauce with corn and wax beans from my garden. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.